Big Cat Safari. The ability to stalk and capture prey is essential in the animal kingdom. The same goes for would-be catfish hunters, at least for those on the trail of the whiskered giants of the family. On this program, we'll explore the ins and outs of locating and capturing big cats. We'll track down spring channels on small rivers. We'll go in search of gigantic flatheads. Join us as we visit the coastal tidewaters for monster blues. What are the high percentage areas for big catfish on your river? They aren't that hard to find. We're going to give you some hints for corralling and keeping that ever-important element to the master cat hunter, good fresh bait. Finally, discover why this unlikely-looking hook is the odds-on favorite for sticking and landing heavy critters. There are cats to be caught, big uns too. So let's get on with it. Ah, spring fishing. You can't beat it. You name the species and they're biting in big ways. Crappie, largemouth, smallmouth, walleye, striper, and catfish all turn on with spring's warming water temperatures. So many fish and so little time. Let's join James Linder and Steve Hoffman with some surefire patterns for springtime cats.
Believe it or not, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, this water was frozen over. And like any spring fish, it seems like catfish will immediately move to the warmest water. And depending on the lake that you're on, or maybe it be a reservoir or river, the catfish have the tendency to look for real specific types of locations.
Throughout the cold water period, catfish tend to collect in wintering holes where literally hundreds of cats can be found in confined spots. In spring, with warming water temperatures, cats move from these wintering areas to fairly predictable locations. Feeder rivers or any incoming water sources warm fast and are the first place to check for early season cats. Shallow coves and bays where crappie spawn are another prime area to find early season cat action. It's presumed that catfish are concentrating in these areas to feed on crappie eggs. Big main lake flats can be another option. In spring, large numbers of shad that die over the winter float to the surface and tend to collect on wind-blown flats. Today, we're concentrating our efforts in a feeder river.
Well, it's sort of interesting because the first time I was here, and that was only a couple weeks after I saw when the water temperature was in the 40s, the fish were still gravitating around those wintertime spots where we caught them through the ice. But then I came back about a week later, that hole was totally devoid of fish. All those the hundreds or even thousands of fish that were in those wintering spots were gone.
Yep.
They all evacuated.
Even when that water starts to warm up and it really kicks in the fish's metabolism, that deep water just doesn't support enough forage to hold that many catfish during the warm water period. So when these fish start to become increasingly active, they need more food, and the food happens to be concentrated in those same areas, the areas that warm up very quickly, and that tends to be shallower water or running water. And we're finding both here today.
Ooh, he's up in there.
Yeah, you got to pull them out of that brush pretty quick.
Yeah, he's getting there. We're using sort of medium action bass tackle, which is perfect for these sort of mid-range cats. We're on sort of a classic cat water where you got a lot of fish that are anywhere from like 2 to about 12 pounds. Ooh.
That looks like one towards the upper end of the range there.
This feels like a good one. Yeah. What's so interesting in this area, we're fishing in central Minnesota here, is that so few people actually fish them, which is true in a lot of the northern fisheries, the northern cat fisheries. In doing a lot of research for the Catfish Guide, as Mr. Hoffman will attest to, what is the quality of the northern cat fisheries?
It's really outstanding, and as you mentioned, it's really underfished by most of the people around here.
And why is it? That because we have bass, smallmouth, muskies, and other fish to target.
You gonna grab him there?
Yeah, I'll whip this guy here. There we go. Okay, come on, buddy. Let me see if I can get a little grip on you. You don't want to put your fingers. If you're sort of a novice cat man, you got to sort of watch these guys because you put your fingers in the wrong portion of the big male channel cat's mouth,
and they definitely will give you one nasty snap. There we go. There we go. Beautiful fish. There we go. Back to the nets.
Well, I've got my bait set right in the head of that snag, right where you caught that one.
You're moving in on my water.
Shouldn't be too long. I figure two can play your game.
Realistically, I've fished in central Minnesota and lived in this region for the last 25 years, fished all over Minnesota, and I didn't even actually know that these fish existed so close in such quantity and quality.
One of the things that we're really doing here today is we're spending some time looking at different holes. We're trying to evaluate a long stretch of water to find those prime holes that are really going to hold a lot of the fish. And one of the ways that we do that is we look for barrier areas. And most fishermen associate that with dams or shallow riffles. In other words, impassable areas that the fish can't move through without some kind of effort. But the kind of barriers we're finding on this small river are just long, featureless runs. We may have a half a mile or a mile of really uninteresting water, 2 or 3 feet deep, no real holes, no real cover. And when the cats reach these areas, they tend to collect on a hole below these areas, or they quickly move through those shallow runs until they find a hole upstream. So whenever you find these cover-laden holes that are associated with these kind of barrier areas, you'll probably find the largest concentration of catfish and the biggest catfish in that particular section of river.
Ooh, what do you got going?
Well, I think I had him wrapped around the limb there, but he's pretty good anyway. Tightened down the drag
spot.
That's it.
No, it's a good fish.
Yeah, it is. He's way up in that snag.
You're really sort of hoarding the spot. I can't cast where the fish are at.
I got it blocked off for the next minute anyway.
That's all right. You actually rig up with the right equipment with these medium action bait casting rods.
These fish are a gasp.
Yeah, they really are. I don't think you'd want to go much lighter in the kind of conditions that we're fishing here in the river. I don't know that you'd be able to pull them out of some of these snags, because you've really got to react quickly when you hook a fish in that heavy cover, which I'm bringing some of the cover in with this fish from the look of it.
In a good bass or walleye lake, there may be 25 or 30 pounds of fish per acre. What is the pounds per acre of catfish in a fertile cat fishery?
Oh, how's that guy? Big old male. Like you were saying, James, the typical quality walleye or bass water might hold 20 to 30 pounds of bass or walleye per acre, whereas a good catfish water, moderately fertile cat water, may hold 10 times that much, between 200 and 300 pounds per acre of fish like this. Beauty.
Ooh, there we go. There we go, look at that. Not a jumbo, still pretty healthy cat. I tell ya. Oh, come here, little guy. Come here. There we go, look at that. What a beautiful fish. I tell you, if you've never experienced or taken advantage of catfish, you got to give it a try. In the northern regions, it might be right in your backyard, and very few people are taking advantage of them. Look at that. Gorgeous fish.